when medical devices are developed, the traditional method of doing that is to build prototypes and to test those devices either on a bench in the laboratory, in an animal lab or a preclinical lab, or eventually in the place of like a clinical trial or someplace like that where it's used on humans for the first time. And that process is very difficult. It's very difficult to get clean data out of it, because anytime that you're working with biological tissue, there's variability between patients. So, if you can imagine, trying to design a device that works on infants and also works on the elderly, you can imagine that those two patients are very different. Well, there's variability even amongst infants, or variability even amongst the elderly, so that there's a lot. I mean, every tissue in a person is different and has variability to it. So you can't really repeat the same test over and over again and look at the changes that you made in your design, because anytime that you bring that biological tissue in, it has that variability to it. So what we enable is to run these tests virtually, where you can apply it to the same conditions, to the same type of tissue model that will react the same way from the same initial conditions, where the only changes that were made are changes to the design, or changes to the way that you deliver energy, or changes to the type of use that the device has with the doctor. And so that any changes that you see in the outcome, or any changes that you see in the effect, happened because of the change that you made to the design, not because of the inherent variability that you get between patients or with bench biological tissue and things like that. 20 years ago, the technology was vastly different than it is today. And as we started to see the change in technology, the change in the ability to model more things that were relevant to medical devices, and the ability to leverage things like cloud computing, instead of having to have your own supercomputer system at the in the office. And then also, as we saw, changes in attitude from the FDA in their recognition that the things needed to change and catch up with technology, in terms of using simulation as one source of data for determining if something's safe and effective. So as each one of those kind of built upon each other, we really started to notice that this was a tool that would be useful to many different companies, not just the big medical device manufacturers that could afford to absorb the overhead of having that simulation capability in-house. So we started System Insight Engineering to bring that capability to companies that maybe didn't have that expertise. So we named System Insight Engineering after the main effect that we were looking for through applying simulation to medical devices. We analyze these devices as an entire system, and the idea is that we're going to be providing insight that wasn't known before through the course of applying that computational modeling and simulations.